Hey everyone, it's Fever here, and today I'm back for quite a while with a video to upload to this YouTube channel because it's been dead for like a couple of years and I just wanted to make content again. And I thought, what better time than to do it when the LEC starts, because I always loved to watch pro play back in the day, and I thought, why not come back to it? So here we are. It's after LEC week 1. Days 1, 2, and 3 have been played, and we'll take a little dive back into it. Quick disclaimer in the background, the video is from like a game I played, recorded, and it's just in the background just so you're not bored and not looking at a black wall or a black video. And second of all, well, adding to that, I'm not sure how that thing with fair use works with LEC video content. Not quite sure, but we'll see how that goes. Another disclaimer real quick. Sometimes a game can be won in draft. I will not go into the draft that much though, or it's not going to be my main focus. I will mostly focus on how games were won with the conditions the players were met with. This serves mostly as a short sum up of the games that have been played and how the games were won. That said though, it's mostly in my opinion, and my opinion is not rated that high, obviously. So we're going into day 1, starting off with a banger of a game, G2 versus Mad Lions. Taking a look at the game, G2 did what G2 does best. They were roaming in the early game quite a bit. Got Mad back on some trades. First tower at 14 minutes for Mad after a quick topside kill from G2 on the Elyoya. And G2 followed that up with the topside tower of theirs. So towers were traded there. Quick sum up of the game. It was a pretty calm game. Not too much was going on, except for a couple of skirmishes. G2 was in the lead mostly, but they left 2 dragons basically straight for Mad. They weren't even contesting them really. Third Drake was a mess for Mad, which turned into a Baron, and that lost him the game eventually. How was the game won though? I think through patience, and G2 didn't stress about heralds. They contested them well and got some kills from it. Drake's pretty much the same. As mentioned, the first 2 Drakes just went over to Mad Lions, and the third one was contested, and that was pretty much the turning point. And at that stage of the game, that's, yeah, well, the Baron angle, and if you watch the VOD, then that's GG as well. Looking into the second game, Astralis versus SK, there was a lot going on, and it was a pretty messy game. It was very back and forth with the fights. The end of the game was decided in the picks and bans, I believe. It was, yeah, quite a mess. I believe, if I recall correctly, I've watched all these VODs back and I can't remember every single detail, but I don't know exactly what it was, but I think Trundle, yeah, there was a Trundle pick. And all in all, if I take a look back at the game, Orianna was ahead big time with farms and kills around first third of the game. On minute 32, there was a Baron fight where Astralis decided to get Baron, but everyone dies for it except for Ezreal, which was pretty bad. SK tried to end then, but they didn't really manage to get it to end. Then minute 37, Astralis picked up Elder, and Rumble was pretty useless in that fight. And then minute 39, Genix got picked off, and that was pretty much Baron. Astralis get it. As mentioned, a pretty messy game. How was the game won though? I believe that Astralis had the better scaling with Victor and Ezreal, although that might be not 100%, because I felt like Trundle had more use in the late game fights than Rumble, because Rumble is like his W is pretty useless. He can just like go in and not hit people, even though he's like what's it called, overheating. He's not allowed to hit people with his melee. So he pretty much goes in, presses Q and stopwatch or Zonius and hope that he lives or deals damage. And Trundle pretty much, if he has the possibility, I guess, will just ult Nautilus, get the tank stats from Nautilus, the little ones that he has, and just morphs Nautilus into a big cannon minion with his ult. And yeah, he even gets tankier, and that's pretty much where the game was decided. Because they were, I believe, in my opinion, of course, they were able to contest the objectives much more efficiently, even though you play into Orianna, which a ton of terrain control and stuff. So we head into the third game, Rogue versus XL. Quick sum up of the game. It was a very clean game by Rogue, feeding all resources available into Hans. So the amount that got fed into Hans was quite insane. I think he got, I counted it back, it was like 10 plates on towers alone, disregarding the farm. So Hans was a pretty big beast, which can also be seen in the gold difference then. Yeah, it was quite insane. And that's just pretty much how the game ended as well. So how was the game won? Is the question every time after the game. Pretty much Rogue macro very well. At the first couple of minutes into the game, most of Rogue was ahead in gold by it anyway. So like if you take a look at the first 10 minutes, Rogue is already ahead in farm alone. And that continued, as mentioned, and gold got funneled into Kalista, and then they just slapped them with their wallet, and that's pretty much GG. Very clean game by Rogue there. We're heading off to Schalke 04 versus Vitality. Vitality showed up big time in this one. They denied, I think, yeah, Kiri got set behind very early in the game. He was playing, what was he playing? Talia, I believe. Minute 8, Dragon for Vitality. Minute 13, Renekton in the mid lane got picked off. There was just some small skirmishes here and there. Minutes 20, 21, Dragon for Vitality turns into a Baron for Vitality. Because Schalke 04 throw their plays. Pretty much summing it up, clean game by Vitality. Even the one kill Schalke got was traded into a 1v1. So I think they picked off somewhere in the mid lane. They picked off Crown Shot, and Crowny was able to return the kill onto Siva, if this was the game. Yeah. How was the game won? Well, as mentioned, Vitality played a clean game. Kiri got behind, or got set behind early in the game. Viego was put ahead because he got double buffs off it and 2 kills. And Viego was splitting a lot, which allowed him a massive farming lead. And that pretty much sums up the game. Why Vitality used their resources, or used the resources that they had in a better way, I'd say. We come up to the last game of day 1, which was Fnatic versus Misfits. High hopes for Fnatic. Whippo on the jungle for the first time in a split. And we're on the first week in Summer Split, so the hopes were high. Adam also is a new top laner, self-made obviously, switching over to Vitality. And here we are now in the first game, or were there in the first game of Vitality versus Fnatic versus Misfits. I'm stupid. Yeah, well, it was quite the showing from Whippo, I have to say, in the first couple of minutes in the game. Like up until minute 15, Fnatic was pretty well seated in the driver's seat. So minute 15 was a pretty big blunder for Misfits, because Whippo like scored a triple kill, and I think only Hille died for it. So it was, or Hillesang died for it, which was very good for Fnatic. Sadly, they couldn't continue their pressure play, and they got set behind later in the game. even though they got Baron at minute 22, minute 30. The second, wait, am I? Never mind. The game got turned on its head on minute 30, where Fnatic got the Baron, and the fight goes to hell, and Misfits get another quarter for Vetheo, because Vetheo in this game played Akali and got 2 quarters, by the way. So pretty much GG from there on out. That's the end of the game. Conclusion overall, Bwipo was showing up strong for his first jungle appearance. The game overall looked a little miscoordinated or uncoordinated in certain fights. Goes for both sides though, where it looked like players were not sure if to engage or not, so not sure what's with that, or if I'm misinterpreting some things or missing some things. How was the game won? Hard to say for me. It was, though, mentioned also by the casters, it could have made a difference if there was like one tank or one tanky-ish champion against Akali. Because Akali is an absolute slaughterhouse when there's squishies around. And I'm not sure about it, but it might have made a difference. Or a counter pick for Akali. Not sure. I'm at a loss for that one. Sorry. We're approaching day 2 now. Opening up with XL versus Astralis. In minute 5, First Blood goes over to Nukeduck for Nukeduck, who was on Viego. Then we come up for a couple of plays. Objectives were played pretty well. Then at minute 22, XL got wiped in a pretty bad fight, and that fight was there were some things in this game which were kind of weird, I'd say. There was this one instance where Nukeduck got killed in mid and got like 5-man ganked, which was very weird. Like bot lane shifted up and then everybody collapsed onto Nukeduck, and I wonder if either Nukeduck missed it or if there was no comms in any way. I think Nukeduck should have realized and not pushed up, because they're either, I don't know what it boils down to, but it looks like Nukeduck did either not receive the message that bot called that they were missing, or he simply didn't look at his minimap, or he didn't hear them say it, or whatever. I can't quite tell why Nukeduck died in that instance. I'm not even sure when that was at the moment, but whatever. You can check that back in the VOD. At some point, like, Nukeduck gets 5-man ganked. And a minute 22, where XL get wiped. That was a very good call from Astralis to continue and initiate there with that fight. They had vision on Nocturne, so they double TP'd and commit to an all-out brawl. And Akali was flanking. Blah, letters and words. Akali was flanking from below, and pretty much instantly popped Senna and executed Rumble soon afterwards, which, as mentioned, XL got wiped. That was the Baron for Astralis. Astralis commit to a fight, and then, yeah, that's game. Next game, SK versus Misfits. There were some small details in laning phase. For example, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't turn out that much, but minute 3, for example, Viego was forcing Gwen out of lane. He was canceling... Genix was playing Gwen. He was canceling Genix's recall, and Genix thusly lost a bunch of CS under his tower and was forced to TP. 5 minutes later, Genix manages to get a good wave into the tower, or under tower, and Lucian roamed to top, thus killing Viego. So Viego lost a ton of CS. So there were some small bits and bobbles here and there, which were good. I don't know if there was, like, minute 23, it looked like here it could have frozen the lane or something, but I'm not sure why why that didn't happen, or at least I couldn't see. I'm not a spectator, right? It was quite the back and forth game, I have to admit. So looking back at it, it was overall a strong showing from Misfits. They played it cool and not lost their head over certain fights, because there was a massive fight in bot lane where I think minute 29 or somewhere, where SK completely mess up Misfits and get like 4 for 0 on the kills, which is absolutely insane. But in the end, it turns out Misfits had the stronger game. And how was the game won? I think that SK got picked off in some fights, or they got outpositioned. And I also believe they got quote-unquote outscaled, if that's the right term, with the picks of Misfits like Victor, Ezreal, and I believe Braum counts into that as well, but I don't know if Braum is the right term scaling, but the kit of Braum works well into SK. Because they had like Kai'Sa and Lucian, and Braum just presses E and blocks Lucian ult, Kai'Sa Q, Kai'Sa W, whatever. So I think that's how Misfits won that. Next game, Vitality versus Rogue. This was quite an interesting one. A very back and forth. Minute 2 was first blood for Udyr and Viego, or allowed to kill onto Larsen, I should say. Everybody burned his flash here, so 3 flashes burned. First dragon goes over to Vitality, minute 11. And Rogue somehow managed to topple over the game at minute 16. They were far ahead with 3 towers to null for him. And then things start to get spicy, because at minute 23, Rogue starts a team fight. I'm not sure why though, because if you watch, or if you freeze frame it, then there's no incentive to fight, because top wave is coming in. There's no objectives on the map, or like Drake is 4 minutes away, and the jungle is empty, so I'm not sure why we would fight there, so we don't have to contest anything, but it results in a 3-for-1 Odo inspired and Trimby die for Labrov, and Snip is balanced, by the way. Drake obviously goes over to Vitality then, and a short summary, Rogue is in the driver's seat for the majority of the game, until like minute 24, where this blunder happens. Vitality holding a pretty good chokehold then, establishing a good lead, coming back into the game. But yeah, it was a very back and forth, and how Rogue won it is by yeah, it's kind of weird. So Rogue made mistakes and Vitality made mistakes, and everyone committed onto the mistakes of the other one, opening up the possibility for an end game, but in the end it didn't really matter. And if I recall correctly, let me check real quick if I'm not full of bullshit. Yeah, Rogue won out. Forgetting. Yeah, not really much to say about that one. And we're coming up, Shotgun Alfair versus G2. And here we have a very interesting match, because it was a pretty slow-paced game until minute 15. Like until minute 20, there were only 4 kills on each side. So it felt like very calculated, and each team respecting each other. And then minute 23 happened, where G2 set up for Baron, and they just got totally smashed. It's not even an over-exaggeration. They got totally smashed. And, well, obviously, Schalke 04 got Baron for it. And then the siege commences. Schalke 04 set up for Elder. Nocturne is in bot river, waiting for an engage. G2 is not able to get the kill on him though, and he's able to ult out to safety. And yeah, G2 dies. And that's pretty much the end of the game then. With Elder. So yeah, how was the game won? If you were to ask me, G2 made a lot of mistakes in the late game or on the objective-oriented plays. Or they were not able to capitalize on Schalke's mistakes. It doesn't really matter though. Schalke, the G2 Slayer, strike back, and they pick them off once again, as they have done in Spring Split, I believe, sometimes. So yeah, that was that. And then, to the final banger of the day, we come up for Mad Lions versus Fnatic. And oh boy, this game was not pleasing to watch. At minute 5, there was this very glorious Fiesta in bot lane where no one died, and Adam, the new Fnatic top laner, gets a kill onto Ahmed in top lane, which was quote-unquote a good death because all the minions were under the tower and Renekton was forced to TP back into lane. And then madness unfolds by, yeah, pretty much Adam getting bonked out of top lane from the Police Bear and the Kali. Minute 12, Mad managed to get 3 kills for nothing in bot, tons of plate money over to Mad as well with the Herald charge, and thusly first tower to Mad. And yeah, everything goes down to hell. Fnatic put on a good defense though, but Mad does what Mad does, which is, yeah, overextend a little bit, but that was towards the end of the game, and the second Baron was not even contested that Mad got, so yeah, that's pretty much how the game ended. But how was it won? By the looks of it, sheer brute force, because Mad does what Mad things does. This is not even a word. Mad did what Mad does best. Being Mad, absolutely. And it looked like sheer brute force by how they won the game. And Fnatic definitely had a shot at winning the game, or at least to keep it going, because their defense was very strong and their kit in champion picks was pretty good. But Mad had, in my opinion, way too much money and items in the bank, and they whack Fnatic off the rip. Alright, coming up to day 3, we had the next couple of banger games, which was Schalke 04 versus XL. And we'll take a quick look at it. What I have it written down here. So, if you watch back the VOD or if you've seen it live, you will realize that until minute 20, it was pretty much an even game. Gold-wise, that is. Not much happened, really. It was like minute 30 was the second Baron attempt that goes downhill for Schalke 04. And that's, yeah, pretty much it, where the game took the turning point. For minute 23, where Baron got where XL got the first Baron. So how was the game won? There's not much to say about it. In my opinion, XL had the team comp that was easier to play or execute on, to be quite honest. And that's why they were able to either pick on a target with Nautilus or just whoop everyone skywards with Wukong ultimate, like Flash E ultimate or something. And yeah, well, even though the game was even until minute 20, that's, I think, the reason why XL in the end was able to pull up the victory onto Schalke 04 here. Coming to the next game, Misfits versus Vitality. I don't even have much written down here. Pretty even game, as it felt like. Minute 16, Vitality outstay their welcome a little bit and get punished for it. Minute 23, good objective set up by Misfits for Dragon number 4. Minute 25 was a very, very weird occurrence. And I'm gonna go into that. And that also feeds into why I think Misfits had the upper hand in this one. And I think it's simply map awareness. Or at least it felt like it. Because at minute 25, there's like 5 members of Vitality is in mid lane. And they want to push out mid wave. Or they want to take mid wave. And their entire top side is plastered with wards. And they... I don't really know why they went for that fight, because there was no... Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know if they like feared for a Baron engage or whatever, but if you have like your top side vision, I feel like you can just fall back, catch the wave, so you can enter like from the middle, like the entrance below tier 2 tower from red side, and just play from there because you have vision there. Because as mentioned, there was a bunch of wards was there. So I don't really know why Vitality tried to contest that push. It's just kind of weird. And it also looks like Misfits had some decent map rotations as well. There was like this Herald place in the bottom for Renekton, and that fed into the side jungle control, or the red side bot jungle control, where Misfits was able to get the dragon then. So yeah, that's all I was wondering there. And I think the map awareness was an issue there, or if it was comms, I can't really hit the nail on the head there. There's nothing I can say to that. The next game is Astralis versus Mad Lions. Mad continue their aggressive playstyle and take towers and the objectives. They out-CS top, jungle, and bot, and it almost felt like Astralis didn't really know where to be at times. And that's what the game felt like. That's all there's to say. Mad pretty much won by macro. They took all advantages they had in towers, played CS, jungle camps, whatever, and pretty much everything went Mad's way. Even though they were like behind in kills, they were always ahead in, not always, but I'd bet a long time were they ahead in gold. And as math goes, the only thing that beats items is more items. That's what Mad definitely had. So good job on Mad Lions, knocking out Astralis with this win here. So the next game after Astralis versus Mad is SK versus G2. So we had some pretty spicy things happening there. Not too much to say about it. I'm going to talk about it more in the grand scheme of things in this one, because at like minute 17, Tristana and Victor were ahead big time. Minute 20, more gold gets fed into Reckless because it gets like the Nidalee shutdown, which is a ton of gold. She was like 300 or I think she was a 300 or 400 shutdown. I'm not sure yet, but she was worth quite a bunch of money. Minute 26, G2 go for the end. Reckless is obese because he got fed to the point where he is obese. And yeah, how was the game won, you might ask? Well, take the wallet, slap, buy SK. That's pretty much how the game went. The next game afterwards was expected to go in anyone's favor, because it is Rogue versus Fnatic. Or it was Rogue versus Fnatic. And to keep it short, there was a bunch of early skirmishes that marked the battlefield, and bot side was mostly the playground for that. And most of the plays evolving in the first couple of minutes in the game was, as mentioned, bot side. Minute 16, though, the game has mostly evened out, so it's pretty even from this point on. And Rogue kinda disrespecting, or not respecting the Karthus jungle from Bwipo there. He was never challenged in his jungle once, or at least there was never a 1v1 of junglers. He pretty much became an unstoppable snowball that waltzed down the rift and smashed Rogue's Nexus down. Minute 20, Baron goes for Fnatic side. The second Baron fight decides the game. Niski on Lucian gets a Quadra, and if you've seen the Karthus ult in the VOD or in the live, you will know how Karthus ult damage feels like, because it was absolutely ridiculous and painful to watch. That's pretty much all the games summed up in a short manner. If you've missed any of the games, I don't know if I got all the points through that I wanted to make, but it's just a quick summary. You can still go ahead, watch the VODs, and it's probably more insightful than my banter here. But a short resume on what is to come, or what is hopefully to come for the next week of the LEC. Ban Akali. What the fuck are you even doing not banning her? I don't want to see the Riftmaker garbage champ anymore. It's insane. Akali is absolutely ridiculous. It's on patch 11.11, and I think that's the patch where Riftmaker got like the 1% nerf, but it is also when you take damage or something. It's read it in the patch notes. It's absolutely hideous what Akali does with that item. Second of all, respect the Bwipo Karthus. That stuff ain't no joke. On a more serious note though, we saw some teams, some expected and some not expected, rise and shine in the first week of the LEC and reveal what they're made of. Team by team, I would say the following. Starting off with Mad. They were off to MSI after spring. They come back into summer. Some rumors about being burned out and something. I'm not sure what there is true or not true about it, but they showed up strong, or decent at least. They haven't changed a bit. Like their aggressive playstyle shows in draft and on the Rift. They want to take from you whatever you give them. Pretty much, you give them your little finger, they bite off your hand, as lines tend to do. And even if it means their death, what gives is just a mad playstyle, I think, or what it looks like at least from an outside perspective. G2 is showing weakness to SO4 or Schalke 04, but overall they're using their strategy, or they're using their strategy to kind of funnel all the resources into their carries, be it Caps or Reckless, and they just bonk you into oblivion with their massive wallets that they managed to obtain through decent control of the map and lane rotations and whatnot. Fnatic. Well, Fnatic has not really been showing that much so far. As for the role swaps, it looks like Bwipo is a promising jungler for them. And, well, in all their games, he tried to get some impact into the game. He was, in the first game, well, he was whooping ass with Rumble. In the third game with Karthus as well. So he's not a bad jungler, I believe. Yeah. And he also tried different junglers, as mentioned. Like there was the Rumble, there's the Uga, there's the Karthus. And that's pretty much all there's to say about Bwipo and Fnatic. What Adam offers will be up for the next couple of weeks, I believe. But it looks promising as well. He was also playing like off-meta champions with Olaf top or something. As mentioned, it's up for the next couple of weeks. He just made his appearance, so we'll have to see about that. Next up on the list is Rogue, and Rogue has had some weird games, I feel. It also looked like in the past couple of splits when we looked at games of them, or when I looked at games of them, they tend to play some games cleaner, sometimes down to a T, like in a surgery room, no blood spilled whatsoever, or tons of blood spilled whatsoever, but they play super clean games. Sometimes they play sloppy, sometimes they play decent, then they play sloppy again, and then they play clean again. It's kind of weird with Rogue, what it is, and I can't put my finger really on it, what it is. It's just kind of back and forth, consistent, non-consistent, and that's just we'll see how it develops over the next couple of days and what they bring to the table and what they show in drafts and stuff. Misfits. I guess no one expected this one. They clapped Fnatic, they clapped SK and Vitality. 2 quarters in the first game for Vitheo. Absolutely insane performance. Well, the only thing you can hope for is that they keep the performance going. We'll see if the next couple of weeks involve an Akali ban. So then we will really see what's going on. Now coming to Vitality. I feel that Vitality shows some strong performances against Schalke 04. Or they showed some strong performance against Schalke 04, keeping a tough game almost in check with Rogue, and they lost out to Misfits. From the games, well, it sometimes looks like they know exactly what to do, and sometimes they just don't. Or at least that's just what it feels like. This is something as weird as Rogue. It just sometimes they pop off big time and then they struggle and then they pop off again and then they just struggle again. But this also feeds into the Schalke case. Speaking of it, because Schalke is this odd case of where they slay one of the top teams, named G2 in this case, and in other games they struggle to find their footing against quote-unquote a weaker opponent. I'm not sure how or why that is, and it just comes to mind that this, hey, they beat G2 though. Yeah, it's just kind of odd. I don't know really how to phrase it different. It's just odd. XL got taken down by, well, now we feed into XL. They got taken down by Rogue and Astralis. They at least take one off Schalke 04. I'm not sure what to say about them other than their performance was quote-unquote expected from recent showings. And that's pretty much all to say about XL there. Astralis shows up against XL and SK. They take 2 wins, but too much was the pressure of the Lions. Mad, absolutely stomping them into the ground. Astralis end week 1 on a 2-1 score. And SK... cute Titanic music. It's just sad. Sadge. That's pretty much the sum of the LEC week 1. As mentioned, this is just quote unquote my point of view. I'm not looking too deep into the drafts yet. Because I believe that there is way more you can figure out on the drafts itself. And drafts probably themselves are a huge issue. But this is just, as mentioned before, disclaimer, what was happening in the game, what it felt like, what it looked like from an outside perspective, quote unquote. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. I'm looking forward to making more of these types of videos. They're quite fun to do, actually. This week is week 2 of the LEC. Then we'll have Friday and Saturday for game days. And I'm hoping that I can get a video out a little bit earlier than this one, because this is actually just 2 days before. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you hopefully in the next one. Cheers.